All right, guys, we're here with Tracy Krohn and Nic Jonsson from Krohn Racing. I got that right?
Yeah.
There you go. You guys are over there in France, getting ready for 24 Hours Le Mans. And welcome to Oversteer TV, guys.
Thanks, man. We're glad to be here.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
All right. Um, Krohn Racing, 24 Hours Le Mans. How important really is this race to you? I mean, in America, everybody talks about Indy 500 and Daytona 500, but as far as I'm concerned, 24 Hours Le Mans is the biggest race of the year. How is it important to you?
A couple of different ways. One, in the series we're running, ILMC, this particular race is counts. This particular race has double points attached to it. So with that in mind, we get 7 races during the year, and this one has double points. So you can see the weighting on this race. We want to be real careful and make sure we finish here. And the other part of it is we've been here several times now, 5 times, and we finished second and third. And we're hunting for the rest of that cycle.
All right, Nic, as a driver, how important is this race to you guys?
I mean, as Tracy said, this is, from a championship standpoint, it's double points, but also it's, the biggest race in the world. I mean, I think it's 3 big races really in the world. It's like the Indy 500, as you mentioned, it's the Monaco Grand Prix in Formula One, and it's the 24-hour Le Mans. And to be here, together with the best drivers in the world in sports cars, it's fantastic to just be able to kind of walk around, on this ground here that so many significant, and famous drivers been driving and winning. It's fantastic, and also been able to be on the podium a couple of times, as a driver pairing have been fantastic. But this is the first year we're here as Krohn Racing, and to really, put everything right would be fantastic to be able to step on top of that podium, together as a driver pair, but also with Krohn Racing as a team.
Um, I'm enjoying this because I have an owner and a driver together, and so I get to see how both of you guys think and how you think the same and different. Tracy, when you come to a race like a 24 Hours Le Mans, a 24-hour race, it's different than all the other races, obviously. How do you prepare? How do you get the team prepared for a race as big and as long as a 24 Hours Le Mans?
Well, for the most part, I don't prepare the team. The team manager and our engineers prepare the team. But as far as personally, I think one of the things that we do is I do a lot of laps in my head. At night, I'll do laps in my head, and before the race, I'll do laps in my head as well, and go track and thinking about different ways the car is going to feel. And that way, when I get out in the car, then I feel pretty prepared to do it. But we've been here to this race enough that we know the track pretty well, and the rest of it is just making adjustments. Actually, we think this car is pretty good in the rain. I wouldn't mind seeing a little rain.
Nic, how about you? As opposed to a sprint race or a shorter race, how do you prepare for a 24-hour race?
A little bit the same. Obviously you work out a little bit differently, you eat a little bit differently, and as Krohn Racing, they do everything first class, and we have really good engineering, of course, and mechanics and so forth, but we also have a great staff behind the scenes that help out with all the organization, that the food is in place. We have a doctor that makes sure that we are in good health. We have physiotherapists that make sure that we loose enough to get in the car, and it's a real team effort to kind of go out there for us drivers as well, like me, Tracy, and Miguel, who's the other third driver, to be able to do our job. We need all the support staff behind us. It's as much a team sport as hockey or football or baseball is. People doesn't realize that, but we could never do our job in the car unless we had all the people behind us doing all the hard work that they do to kind of prepare everything for us.
In the series, in the LMP class, if you're not driving a Peugeot or an Audi, you're going to have a hard time being competitive. But in your guys' class, I mean, you can really throw a blanket over everybody. I mean, it's very competitive. What do you think is going to be needed to get that edge, to be able to get on that podium, to be able to finish first compared to all the other? I mean, you got so many manufacturers and so many teams.
Yeah, well, we've done this before, so the key ingredients here is patience. You just have to stay out of trouble. You can't get hit. You can't spend time in the pits. You just have to be patient. If there's a situation that comes up where it's iffy whether you're going to get through that corner first, you take the conservative approach and live to fight another day.
You guys have also raced more than a few times at the 24 Hours of Daytona. What's the difference? I mean, you know, the people would say, oh, they're both 24-hour races, but there's got to be some difference.
I mean, the difference is obviously Daytona is, you know, 2/3 of the race track there is an oval, which is basically flat out. Here is a real road course. I mean, it's much more driving skill, and obviously it's also a bigger, you know, adjustments for us driving in the GT class here, which is the slowest class, with all the LMP cars coming, you know, blowing by us, you know, on the long straightaways, versus Daytona, where we, you know, been driving in the Daytona prototype, which is the quickest class. You always pass cars there. Here, we always get passed. So it's actually much more difficult to drive a slower car because you have to pay attention, you know, ahead of yourself, but also, you know, in your review mirrors to make sure that you don't turn in on someone that, you know, approaching very quickly. So it's much more demanding here at Le Mans for sure. Both, maybe not physically more demanding, but mentally for sure.
That's one of the issues. You always hear about the LMP guys complaining about the GT cars getting in the way. What is your view on that? What is your take on that? You guys are running your own race, obviously. So do you automatically move over when you see an LMP faster car behind you, or you just, you know, you're running your race, and when you have a chance, you let them by?
No, I think that's one of the significant differences actually between Daytona and here. Here, as I said before, is, you know, obviously the best drivers in the world. You just don't, you know, come here if you have a specific license. You actually, you know, have to be invited here and, you know, to get an entry. So very much the drivers here are hand-picked pretty much. So you have a much higher level of driving skill here, and I think people respect each other more here. And we don't really see that much of, you know, the same issues that we see a lot of times in Daytona and other places that we run with the DP, for example, because it's just a completely different level of you know, skill level on the track, but also I think the teams and stuff prepare themselves very differently, as Tracy said earlier. It is basically, you know, rule number one is stay out on track and don't, you know, come into the pits unless, you know, it's a scheduled pit stop, and that's what's going to, you know, put you on top, basically. So it's very different from that aspect.
All right, Tracy, you are going to be running the full ILMC schedule?
Yes, absolutely. We have 7 races to do this year.
All right. Will you be also racing other ALMS races also back in the States, besides Petit?
Yeah, originally I'd kind of planned on doing some one-off races in both ALMS and Grand Am as well. My oldest daughter is pregnant and going to have my first grandbaby in July, so that's put a little bit of kink in that schedule, and I figure there's always another race.
Okay. Well, congratulations on being a grandfather.
Thank you.
And I want to thank both you guys. I'm going to cut this short because I know you guys are really busy. It's the biggest race of the year for you guys, and it's a lot of work getting involved, even though the race doesn't start till Saturday. Tracy Krohn, Nic Jonsson, thank you again. Thank you from Oversteer TV.
Thanks, Tony. Thanks for having us.
Thank you, Tony. Appreciate it.
Good luck. We'll be rooting for you out there.
Right.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.